My name is Mark. I'm 29 years old, and I live in New York City. I work as a food delivery driver, mostly late nights to make ends meet. The money is decent, and the job is simple, but I've seen some strange things over the years. None of that compared to what happened one night in the middle of winter. It still haunts me. It was a typical night, orders coming in one after another. Around 11 p.m., I got a delivery request from an apartment complex in a rough part of town. The place had a reputation for being sketchy, but I wasn't worried. I've dealt with it before. When I arrived, though, something felt off right away. The building seemed deserted. No lights in the windows, no sounds, no movement, just an eerie stillness. I walked up to the door, food in hand, and knocked. No answer. I knocked again, louder this time, and that's when the door creaked open slightly. Just a crack. I could see a dim light flickering inside, casting long shadows across the floor. Every instinct told me to leave, but I was curious. Maybe someone was inside and just couldn't hear me. I pushed the door open a little further and stepped inside. The air was thick with a metallic smell that I couldn't place at first. As my eyes adjusted to the low light, I saw a figure in the middle of the room. A man tied to a chair, his head slumped forward. Blood dripped slowly from his body onto the floor. He was unconscious, maybe worse. My heart started racing. I wanted to run, but my feet were frozen in place. I could hear my own breathing getting faster and faster. I turned to leave, but before I could move, someone grabbed me from behind. A firm, cold grip on my shoulder. I didn't even have time to scream. A voice whispered in my ear, chilling me to the bone. "You weren't supposed to see this." I felt my stomach drop. I tried to pull away, but the grip tightened. I don't know how I found the strength, but I managed to break free. I stumbled backward, almost falling over as I bolted for the door. I could hear the man behind me, his footsteps quick and heavy, but somehow I made it out of the apartment and down the stairs. I didn't stop running until I was blocks away. My mind was spinning. What had I just seen? Who were those people? I knew I had to call the police, but I was terrified. What if they came after me? Eventually, I forced myself to dial 911. When the police arrived at the building, I waited outside, my hands shaking. I could barely describe what had happened. The officers went in to investigate, but when they came back out, they told me the apartment was completely empty. No body, no blood, nothing. It was like the place had been wiped clean. They must have thought I was crazy. But I know what I saw. The police searched the building and surrounding area for hours. But there was no sign of the man tied to the chair or the person who had grabbed me. The only thing left in that apartment was a small pool of blood, barely noticeable on the floor. I never heard anything else about the case. No follow-up calls, no news reports, nothing. It was as if the whole thing had never happened, but I can't forget it. I still have nightmares about that night, the man in the chair, the voice whispering in my ear. Every time I walk past that building now, I feel a chill run down my spine. I quit delivering to that part of town after that. No amount of money is worth what I went through. Every time I get an order late at night, I can't help but remember. And I wonder, what if I hadn't escaped? My name is Molly. I'm 26 years old, living in Chicago. I've been working as a food delivery driver for a while now. It's mostly uneventful. Pick up food, drop it off, repeat. But one night, something happened that I still can't shake off. It was late, around 11 p.m., when I got an order for Chinese food from a high-rise apartment. The building was in a quiet part of town, and I delivered there a few times before. Nothing unusual, just a standard delivery. I got to the building, took the elevator up to the 17th floor, and found the apartment. I knocked on the door and waited. No one answered. I knocked again, a little louder this time. Still nothing. Figuring they were busy or distracted, I pulled out my phone and called the number the customer had provided. After a few rings, someone picked up. But instead of a greeting, I heard this faint whisper, almost like someone was struggling to talk. It was eerie. I couldn't make out what they were saying before the call abruptly cut off. My first thought was that the connection had dropped, so I tried calling back, but it went straight to voicemail. Feeling uneasy, I left the food by the door and headed back to my car. As I drove home, I couldn't stop thinking about that whisper on the phone. It just didn't sit right with me, but I brushed it off, assuming the guy was just having a weird night. I didn't think too much of it until the next morning. When I checked the news, I saw a report about a man named Eric who had been missing for 3 days. His photo was plastered all over the TV. My stomach dropped when I realized that was the same guy who had ordered the food from the high-rise apartment. The news said his body had been found that morning in the very same apartment I had delivered to. I felt a wave of nausea. I had been right outside his door just hours before they found him. But what really disturbed me was what happened next. As I got into my car to head to work that day, I noticed something strange on the passenger seat, Eric's phone. I froze, trying to make sense of it. I had never taken it. I never even saw the man in person. And yet, his phone was there, in my car, like it had been there the whole time. I called the police immediately and told them everything. They were just as confused as I was. No one could figure out how Eric's phone had ended up in my car. There was no evidence of foul play, no sign of anyone else in the apartment. The only thing they could confirm was that Eric had been dead for at least a day before I made the delivery. To this day, I don't know how that phone ended up in my car or who I spoke to on the phone that night. But I've never taken a late-night delivery since. Whatever happened in that apartment still haunts me, and I'm not sure I'll ever get answers. My name is Sofia Martinez, and I'm 27 years old. I've been working for a food delivery app in Atlanta, Georgia, for the past 2 years. Most nights are routine, picking up orders, dropping them off, and moving on to the next. But there was one night I'll never forget. It was a Friday night, around 9 p.m., when I got a request that seemed off from the start. The order was from a place I'd never delivered to before, an old part of town where most houses looked abandoned. The customer left a note in the app, *, please deliver to the back door. Do not knock on the front. Just leave the food there. *, it wasn't unusual to get specific delivery instructions, but something about this one made my skin crawl. I almost declined the order, but the extra tip made me reconsider. So I accepted it, picked up the food, and drove to the address. When I arrived, the house looked worse than I had imagined. It was one of those places that you see in horror movies, boarded up windows, overgrown yard, and a general sense of decay. The street was completely empty, not a single car or person in sight. I parked my car and grabbed the food, feeling a knot tighten in my stomach. I walked around to the back of the house. There, in the dim light, I saw a note taped to the door. It read, * do not enter. *. The handwriting was jagged and rushed, as if written by someone in distress. Every instinct in me screamed to leave, but I felt like I was being watched. And not wanting to upset the customer, I placed the food on the doorstep. As I turned to go, I heard it, a faint sound, like footsteps crunching on the gravel behind me. My heart pounded in my chest, and I froze. Slowly, I turned my head, but there was no one there. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me, so I quickly walked back to my car, trying to keep my cool. Just as I was about to get in, I glanced back at the house. That's when I saw it, through a gap in the boards covering a window, a pale face staring directly at me. My blood ran cold. I jumped into my car and sped away, not looking back. The next morning, I saw a news report about that very house. The police have found a body in the basement. A woman who had been chained to the wall for weeks. They said she had likely died the night before. My stomach churned as the realization hit me. If I had gone inside or hesitated even a moment longer, I might have ended up like her. I quit the job the next day. Some deliveries just aren't worth the risk.